So my name is Pragati Jain, and I'll be presenting today a session on exploring Microsoft Fabric through Power BI lens. And just a bit of introduction about me. So I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP. I'm a super user at Microsoft Fabric community. So if you guys don't know about Fabric community, please go and check it out. That's the place where I have actually learned 70 to 80% of my Power BI in the last few years. So it's a must community. There are amazing people there helping people out with their questions, use cases. So if you haven't done, definitely go and join Microsoft Fabric community. I've got nearly 10 plus years of industry experience, and currently I'm working as an analytics manager within Avanade based in London. Apart from that, outside Avanade, I do a lot of blogging. Then I'm organizer of one of the data platform conference that happens once in every year, which is Data Weekender. And it's a virtual conference, and it's a free conference. So if any of you are interested in attending it, then watch out for some socials soon for this year's announcement. And it's a free conference, so anyone can just register and join. Apart from that, I also manage Microsoft Fabric UK user group, which is based, again, in London. And if you guys are interested in Fabric content these days, then definitely watch out for our user group events, because we try to bring amazing speakers at the platform so that they can come and share their amazing Fabric knowledge with you in different areas. And yeah, there's a one fun fact about me. I like to paint outside my professional world, so I just like to call myself a techie artist. And if any of you guys want to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Microsoft Fabric community, I have my own YouTube channel, and I've got my own blog. Okay, so that was about me. Now, when this session was put on the agenda, I just asked few questions to the attendees, and there were some polls related to this session. And may I ask that again, just to get understanding on, how many of you have already tried Microsoft Fabric? Okay. And how many among you are experienced Power BI developers? Cool. Okay. That's good to know. Okay. And okay, let me ask another one. Being a Power BI developer, how many of you are loving Microsoft Fabric? You can say no as well, because I don't like it in few aspects, so it's fine. Okay, Nicola is laughing there, I know, for the similar reasons. But yeah, I love Fabric, but in some aspects, definitely. It's a product which is new, so it's growing, it's improving. So let's not talk about that, but today we are going to talk about how Microsoft Fabric is going to add to us as a citizen Power BI developer. Okay, I just went back. Okay, so I know most of you are already attending sessions today, and I think in all the sessions, they're talking about what is Microsoft Fabric. And I know till now, everyone knows what Microsoft Fabric is about. Doesn't matter if you have tried it or haven't tried it, but I assume that you all know what it is about. And just to summarize it, it is again, it's a single analytics platform, a solution that allows you to have different experience on top of a single storage area, which is named as one lake. So whether that experience is data factory, data engineering, data warehousing, data science, or a BI developer like myself, and then some additional capabilities like real-time analytics and data activator. I'm not going to talk about real-time analytics. You had an amazing session before this session. So yeah, I won't talk about it. But that's what Fabric is giving you. But working as a data consultant in the industry, I actually lead a team of multiple Power BI developers. And yeah, I was actually one of the fortunate person who got to try Fabric at a very early stage. So when it comes to junior Power BI developers, and the most times I get asked only one question: has Microsoft Fabric changed the way the Power BI developer used to work? That's the question every other Power BI developer, even in my organization, asks me. So then I thought, why not I answer that in the first session? Like, is your Power BI development process still same, or has it changed? Or if it is still same, can you leverage something more from Microsoft Fabric? Or if it is different, or Fabric is not going to help you. So let's see, we'll try to answer those questions, okay? So that's what we are going to talk about today. So not talking about Fabric. I know everyone has seen Fabric a lot. So let's go to the next slide. Now this is what I'm literally trying to answer. I'm a Power BI developer. Does Microsoft Fabric change things for me when it comes to development? Will I still be doing it in the same way? Or is there something else I need to learn? Is my Power BI career over? Because I see Microsoft Fabric around, data engineering, data science, data warehousing experience. Do I still a valid persona there? So a very quick answer to that is definitely. You see a big Power BI icon on top of the one lake. So yeah, we Power BI developers have still got a job. So nothing to worry about it. But let's see how Fabric can help us with the existing Power BI processes. So your existing Power BI process still remains same. If you work with Power BI desktop, not a problem. You still do the same process. You open your Power BI desktop, you connect to your data sources. I'm not giving a Power BI desktop class here because I know many are experienced Power BI developers. They know how to work with Power BI. Power BI has got 100+ connectors available. You connect to any source, you build your report, you transform your data, you model your data, visualize your data, and publish it back to service, and give it back to your users. So that process still remains same. Nothing has changed for you. Now, what new has come for you? What Microsoft Fabric has got for Power BI developers? This is what I'm going to talk about today. How Fabric can really help you with your existing skills. Can you build some new skills on top of it? Or is it useless? Or is it really worthy to be within that Fabric universe where Power BI is now? So the first thing I talk about is how Microsoft Fabric can really help you. It can actually help you upskill yourself. I'm going to show you one of the use case where my data PySpark skills, basically, writing a PySpark notebook, helped me to solve an optimization issue. I'm going to show that use case today, and then that could be maybe one of the reasons why you might be convinced on upskilling yourself within Fabric. So not just limiting yourself to developing your Power BI models or reports. Maybe you can dig into something more and learn something new, acquire something new. The second thing is direct lake mode. I'm not sure if any of the sessions today you guys heard about direct lake mode, and I just know that as Power BI developers, we are used to two main storage modes, basically. One is import mode, one is direct query mode, right? But now, when Fabric came, they introduced something new, direct lake. And I'll show you, direct lake is pretty quick, and why it is like one of the best highlights for me working as a Power BI developer within Fabric space. The next thing what I like about Fabric environment, I can now build my end-to-end solution in my Fabric workspace, in the cloud. I literally don't have to use Power BI desktop. If I don't want to, I can literally eliminate Power BI desktop now. I mean, definitely there are a few things for which Power BI desktop still is a valid place to do. Like, for example, if you want to have a support of row-level security, that is something still you have to do in Power BI desktop. You can't do that directly in your cloud area or Fabric workspace. But when it comes to just forget row-level security for now, or object-level security for now, but if it just comes from end-to-end solution creation within Power BI, you can actually do now in Fabric. Get your data, transform your data, model your data, and take a report out and share it with the users. We'll see that use case as well. The next thing, what works best in Fabric environment is better for collaboration with other teams. Now, in earlier days, when I used to work just like a Power BI developer in my own space, and I had a data engineering team doing some bits for me, so before I get my data to Power BI, I asked data engineering team to transform it for me. But sometimes, it was not easy to collaborate with them because I was mostly not aware of what they are literally doing and what kind of data they are going to give me. But now in Fabric, when you have a collaborative storage area, which is your one lake, you are aware of what's really happening there. You can actually work in collaboration with your data engineering team or data science team to see what kind of data they are producing for you, which you can actually end up using in your Power BI for data modeling or for reporting. So that's the other benefit what I see about Fabric. But let's now see some demos, because I really don't believe in showing things in the deck. So let's go and see what Fabric has got. So I'll just switch my screens. I'll just make this a little bigger, maybe. OK, I hope everyone can see and read stuff, or you want me to make the screen a little more bigger. Backside, can everyone see and read the screen? What's there? OK, I hope they can see now. So now when we look at Microsoft Fabric, first let's see how your existing process as Power BI developer is. I have this Power BI report open. Just ignore the visuals there. I know that donut chart just doesn't make sense, and I'm a person who never uses pie chart and donut chart, but I had to literally create something on the fly for this. So just think this is your Power BI report. This is completely developed in Power BI Desktop. I just connected it to my on-premises SQL server, the Contoso database, which is freely available for anyone to download and get cracking. I get my data there, I do my data modeling, I create a report, and I can go and publish my report as the previous way, right? Like I'm used to doing. So I can still go and publish my report, select my workspace, and do that. OK, I won't do it because I've already published the report. And the first thing I'll do is I'll close Power BI Desktop. Now, once that report is published, if I go to my workspaces, that's my workspace where my reports are published. OK, so this is my existing process where I did all my development just in Power BI Desktop and pushed it to my service. And from here, my users can consume report based on the accesses I've been given to them. OK, so this is my old process. This is still valid. So nothing is gone wrong with it. It still exists. Now, once you enable Fabric, now how Fabric came here, right? It is around Power BI. Your Power BI is still the main thing. And around that, Fabric gives you additional capabilities, like for data ingestion, data transformation. So once you enable Fabric, and I hope those who have already tried Fabric, they know how to enable it. But I'll quickly go and show that. Under Admin Portal, if you enable the Fabric elements there, you start seeing a Fabric trial license. And if you don't know how to enroll for Fabric trial license, you have got so many people have written down blogs around it. You can go to Microsoft Learn documentation. They have shown you how you can get a trial license. Once you get that, the new thing what I start seeing is, currently this is just Power BI on the bottom left for me. But the moment I toggle on Fabric, I start seeing something new. If I click on it, I can see some new stuff coming through, like Data Activator, Data Factory, Industry Solutions, Data Engineering, or Data Science, or Data Warehousing, right? And if I further down that, click it, I can see some new things have come up, which as a Power BI developer, I don't know what it is about, OK? So that's what Fabric shows me. But how can I use this Fabric new element on my existing processes? Can I really make use of it in a certain way? Will it help me? So let's see a few things. Sorry, just checking few stuff here. OK, so let's do a quick one. If I go to Home and say, I'll go to Power BI again, OK? I'll just say, go and create a new workspace. OK, I can't navigate properly, but yeah. Suppose if I go and create a, say, test workspace, and then say assign it to a Fabric trial, because I'm running everything on trial, so I assign it to a Fabric trial. And I just hit apply, a new Fabric workspace will be created for me, which has got all the Fabric experience enabled for me, where I can create, say, data engineering part, data warehousing element, or start doing other bits. Now, once that empty workspace is created, and if I hit on new, I see so many different items there, which is all new for me. Like, for example, paginated reporting, scorecard. They were still there, but say, for example, I can see Dataflow and other stuff. But if I click on more options, I see different areas of Fabric here, like data activator, data engineering, data factory, data science, data warehousing, and so on. But let's start with something like data factory. Now, data factory experience within Fabric, just consider is something which can help you ingest data, bringing your data from different data sources. Now, it has got few different items there. You can either create a lakehouse, a notebook, an environment, a Spark job definition, and under data factory, you can create a Dataflow Gen2 or data pipeline. Now, who are already Power BI developers, you know about data flows which exist in Power BI. It still exists there, but now Dataflow Gen2 is something new, which Microsoft says they are more optimized way of ingesting your data using a no-code, low-code solution, which we used to do in Dataflows. So let's see how Dataflow Gen2 can help us do things. Now, I'm not going to create a Dataflow Gen2 here because I've already pre-created it, so I'll show you some existing elements there. So what I'll just go to workspace, which is my Fabric console. Now, in this workspace, what's happening is I just brought in my on-premises SQL Server database to my lakehouse. Now, if lakehouse is not the term everyone in this room is aware of, then if you just consider it like in a very simple layman terms, consider lakehouse as an area which just stores your data. From where you can actually access it for certain processes, you can query it, analyze it. Using the data what you have got in your lakehouse, you can build model on top of it and use that model or semantic model further for reporting. So lakehouse, just consider it as an area where your data is getting stored. Whenever you create a lakehouse in Fabric, there are two other elements that get created. So if I just point to it a little bit here, when I created a lakehouse within this environment, because before bringing anything, I need to define a storage area where my ingested data will be getting into my workspace. So I created a lakehouse, and the moment I created a lakehouse, and it was very, very simple. I went to new, I went to more options. I just went to data engineering experience and created a lakehouse there. And once I hit that, it asked me to name lakehouse, I do that, and it creates that lakehouse in my workspace back. So there are two other elements that are created with my lakehouse. I should call them items, not elements. One is my SQL analytics endpoint, and the second one is my semantic model. Now, from the name SQL analytics endpoint, if any of you guys are coming from database or data warehouse background, you will be used to working with SQL, MySQL, T-SQL, right? So that SQL analytics endpoint is the area which allows you to analyze and query your data. So whatever data you get in your lakehouse, you can actually query on that or write certain queries just to analyze how your data is. And semantic model is another area where you actually can get a model out of the, say, 10 tables you got in your lakehouse, and now you want to create a model on top of it. So that's the area where your model sits, which is your semantic model. And just mentioning that, earlier semantic models were known as data set, which were renamed recently to semantic model. And trust me, I'm still trying to get used to that new naming convention. I sometimes tell them data sets, but then, oh no, they're semantic models. But let's go into lakehouse. Now, let's not go into lakehouse. First thing, what I did, to bring in data into my lakehouse, I used Dataflow Gen2 capability, which is, again, a low-code, no-code experience, which allows me to get data. So if I click on my data flow, let it load. Hopefully it loads fast enough. Okay, it's loading. That's not bad. And what this Dataflow Gen2 is basically doing, I've got my on-premises SQL Server database, where I've got my Contoso sample database provided by Microsoft, nothing magical there. And I'm trying to bring in all the tables here in my data flow. So in the end, I end up with 2 fact tables, and I end up with few dimension tables here. That's the kind of structure here I've got. And also, if you work with Power BI, you know, if you need to make your cloud service talk to your on-premises database, you need a Power BI gateway in between. So I've got a Power BI gateway already running on my machine. That's why I see that data there. And once that data is here, I can actually get it. But there's a difference. When I talk about olden times when we just had data flows, you used to just get your queries and save it and submit it. And your data used to get stored somewhere at a hidden location, which they used to call ADLS Gen2. They still call it. But we were never aware of that location where that data is actually getting stored. But now with Dataflow Gen2, while you're submitting your queries or saving your queries with all the tables, you have an option to choose a data destination, like where you really want your data to get stored. So if you click on this on the right, there's an option to define your location. Now, in this case, my location is a lakehouse. If you remember in the workspace, I created a Contoso lakehouse. So that's the place where I'm trying to store all of my tables. But this destination support is for data warehouse as well, as your SQL database as well, and there's one more. Is it Custo? I don't know. Yeah, but there are 4 different areas it supports. So I chose lakehouse, so whatever tables or my final queries are, they get written into my Contoso lakehouse. And once I publish the data flow, it runs, and it saves all my tables into my lakehouse. So I'm not going to do this because it's already been submitted. Where is the cross sign for data flow? Sorry. So if I'll just close this for now, because it's already been submitted. And if I just go to my lakehouse, and if I try to just expand it, let it load, so I can see all the tables that have been written into my lakehouse here. So whatever was in my Dataflow Gen2, I can see my 2 fact tables, I can see my few intermediate tables, I can see some of my dimension tables. Okay, let it load, that's fine. So this is what my data looks like. And it is very similar, to any tabular structure. You can see all your data here, data preview here, which is in tabular structure. Okay, but now, here in this environment, I can do a few things. Like, for example, I can create there's an option to create a semantic model on top of this. Like, for example, I can use some dimension tables, some fact tables, and create a semantic model on top of it. There's another option, Open Notebook, which allows me to do additional transformations on top of what I already did in Dataflow Gen2. Now, one point I want to raise here. Data flows are not good for complex transformations. If you have really got good Power BI experience and you have used data flows before, you will already know that. Because I have worked with certain customers, certain use cases where Dataflow Gen2 fails. But what Microsoft Fabric has now given me the opportunity to do those complex transformations using a different capability, like say, I go and write a PySpark notebook. Or say, if I don't want to write, I can ask a data engineering person who's in my team to write some Spark code, do those complex transformations, write them as, say, XYZ tables again in my lakehouse, and then I can further use it for analytics. That's the additional capability I've got here. But let's explore another stuff first. I'll show you the use case where notebooks really help me. And that's why I'm actually learning PySpark code these days. But yeah, let's go back. Now, we talked about 2 different areas. Whenever a lakehouse is created, 2 other items are created. One is your SQL endpoint, one is your semantic model. Let's go to SQL endpoint. So if I click on my SQL endpoint, yeah, it opens. And that's my SQL endpoint. Now, in SQL endpoint, I've got few things there. The left one is my data area, where I just see the preview of the data, what I've got. The second area is my query area, where I can actually go and write certain queries on my data, or you can just pull in something from here. But suppose, like I come from a database background, so I know how to write SQL queries, procedures, and everything. But suppose if there's a new person and they really don't know how to write a SQL query. So one good thing about Fabric is you can literally drag and drop stuff. Like if I just open a new query, and like say if I just want to drag this, or say if I don't want to drag this, let's not drag it because it's not giving me a starting point. What I can do is, okay, I'm not saving it, sorry. I can just click on the 3 dots against my table and just ask me to give a top 10 or top 100 view of my rows. And if I see what Fabric did, it automatically for me, it kind of wrote me a simple SQL query. select top 100, all the columns name from my so-and-so table. So if you don't know how to get started, that's where Fabric is going to help you get started. If you don't know how to write queries, it will give you a starting point where you can start writing queries. And then obviously, we guys are good at modifying stuff, right? We can Google, we can ask Copilot to do stuff, and I know in the keynote this morning, many things were announced around Gen AI and Copilot, so we'll have better support on these kind of elements as well. So that's where Fabric is helping you to get started. But the other thing, what's important and nice about Fabric is I can model my data here itself. Now, I'm used to doing data modeling in Power BI Desktop, but now I can do that modeling here in my Fabric environment. Please ignore those warning icons. There are some errors there. Not in my side, something in Fabric environment. So hopefully they fix it soon. But this is what my inbuilt data model is here. But if you see, there are so many tables here, and say I don't want to use all these tables for my data model. I say just want to use my 4-dimension tables with one fact table to create a data model. So on top of these all available tables, I can actually go back and create my own semantic model on top of it. So if I go to the reporting over here, I can just click on new semantic model. And what this allows me to do is, suppose if I just give it like test underscore semantic model, and I can just select tables, and this is again an issue of, I think screen resolution, but that's fine. I can just go and select tables, like for example, currency, product, or say product category, or geography, and go and select like my fact table. And the moment I hit confirm, what Fabric is going to do, it's going to just take these selected tables and give me a canvas where these tables are selected. And if I go to that model, so I've already created one model, so I'll just go there. And what I'll do is I'll go back to my workspace. And this is the custom data model I've created. So I'll just go there and open that model. But once you hit that confirm there, what it comes up with a canvas with all your tables here, where you can literally drag and drop and create your relationships. And once those relationships are there, you have actually got your model there. So I've got my fact table there, I've got my few dimension tables there, and now I can use this data model for my reporting, or I can create additional calculations on top of it, like some measures if I want to create, or say if I want to create some calculation groups. So if I click on this fact, okay, another thing. Whenever you hover over any of these tables, the storage mode shown here is direct lake mode. Now what direct lake mode is, if I just quickly switch back to my deck, just to give you like a visual view on what direct lake is doing. So if you just see about direct query mode, we all know direct query mode. It is amazing when you want real-time interaction with your data, you want updated reports in time, and if you want to avoid any data duplication, then direct query is really good. But there is a very big drawback of direct query, right? It is actually very slow. That's why there are very, very less scenarios where direct query storage mode is used. Because in direct query storage mode, whenever your Power BI report sends some queries to your Power BI engine, and then Power BI engine has to convert those queries to SQL queries to, query your underlying database and then bring the real-time data to you. And if you talk about import mode, which is better than direct query because it has got fast performance, but the drawback is it doesn't give you real-time data. You have to set up your refreshes to make sure your data is up to date. And there is a data duplication because in import mode, Power BI actually brings a copy of your data, caches it, and due to that cache, your query access is pretty fast. But now in Fabric, this direct lake mode is the new thing. What direct lake mode is, basically what Microsoft is saying is, it's a combination of both import and direct query storage modes. What that means is that direct lake mode is good when you want the real-time data, plus if you want the performance, what import mode used to give you. That's what direct lake mode does. And why it is performant? Because Whenever your reports send some queries to your Power BI engine, then Power BI engine directly access it and read it through your one lake. There is no element in between of accessing your data source there, like a warehouse or a lakehouse. It directly reads from your one lake. So that's why it is told to be one of the fastest storage modes. Now, if I switch back to my screen again, yeah, so that's the data model we have got. And if we hover over it, we can see all of these tables show storage mode is direct lake because this data is read directly from my one lake. There's nothing intermediate in between. That's why it is supposed to be performant and faster when compared to import or direct query mode. Now the beauty, what I like in Fabric these days, as I said in the starting, I can actually create an end-to-end solution just within my web UI. I literally don't have to go to Power BI desktop until I want to apply row-level security or object-level security. But if I don't want to go into that, I can still create everything here. So for example, on the sales table, I ended up creating measures. I hope I have them there. But what we can do is we can go to this modeling section. Can I make this bigger? Yeah, something is popping up. And I'll just make this little bigger. Yeah. So this view, I think this is this got added some time back. I also somehow accidentally encountered, where this model tab started coming up in my modeling view. So I really don't know when it came through. But this is one of the best things I like about it. When I go to this model view, it kind of shows me a summary on my semantic model. So for example, I can see I've got 3 measures in there. If I just expand that, I can see what all those 3 measures are. And these 3 measures were actually created in Web UI because whenever I'm in this web view, I can actually create a new measure. I can just go and create a new measure right there, save it there. And once I do that, it is in my semantic model. So I can clearly create a measure here. Definitely, you can't create a calculated column because, as I said, direct lake mode is the combination of import and direct query mode. And direct query mode has a limitation, right? You can't create calculated columns. So that is one of the reasons why in direct lake mode, currently calculated columns are not supported. I'm not sure, maybe in future, but anyways, I don't create calculated columns, so it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, that's the reason why you can't see calculated column creation there. You can create new calculation groups if you want. Yeah. And you can create new reports as well from here. So you can clearly see I've got 3 measures in there. I've got 5 or how many? 6, 7 relationships there, and I can clearly see what the relationship is. If I click on that, then my model just highlights what's really happening. So when I see these kind of capabilities there, it kind of just shows me it's like so good to work within a team like this. Like say if I just create the semantic model, give it to my team, they can just go and figure out what's really happening there. I mean, obviously, if I can create proper comments around my DAX measures and other things, it will just make their life easier. So that's what I'm really liking about that I have literally done everything in here. I literally didn't touch Power BI desktop, and I have got my model here. And once I've got my model here, I can just go and create a new report. Or say, if I don't want to create a new report, if I go back to my model, and say if I just go back to my workspace, and just hover these 3 dots against my custom semantic model which I created, I can just go and create an auto-create report. And what that auto-create report does is, it will try to create a report out of the data points what I've got within my semantic model. I mean, I won't say this will be a perfect report, but when it comes to someone getting started into Power BI, this could be really very helpful. Because suppose if I don't know how to create reports in Power BI, and see Fabric is doing it for me against the semantic model I've given, then it kind of gives me a starting point. There could be few things, few numbers not making sense to me. But still, I get a nice layout. Okay, when I'll create a report, I'll have some KPIs, I'll have some bar charts, I'll see some kind of splits by different metrics or different categories within my data. So that's how it's helping me to do those things. So that's why this auto-create is pretty good. But if you are basically Power BI report developer, you can always go and create a new report. You can start dragging it. You can start having all your charts there, bringing your numbers in there, and there you go, you have got a report there. And once that report is ready, you can save it here, right here, and start sharing it with your users. You can create your apps there. You can just share it with the users however you want it to be. So that's how I really like about Fabric. Like, it has now given me a capability to create an end-to-end solution within my web UI. I'll just not save it. So if we saw this example, we connected to our on-premises SQL Server database. We got our data into Contoso Lakehouse, which is my lakehouse here. We transformed that data using Dataflow Gen2 and put it in the lakehouse. But if you want to do additional transformations, you can use other experiences like notebooks. And on top of that, we ended up creating a semantic model. Use that semantic model further down the line to create a report and share with the users. Now let's just quickly switch at the use case which I was talking about, where I felt like I should upskill myself in Microsoft Fabric. I'm sure everyone is aware of this New York yellow taxi data, which is freely available on Microsoft's Learn Hub. And it has got somewhere around 2.5 billion rows or 2.2 billion rows. Now what I literally did, I actually tried to bring that data using a Dataflow Gen2 in Fabric. And guess what happened? My Dataflow Gen2 ran for 4 hours, and next morning when I saw it, it literally crashed. There was an error that your data flow can't be published or something like that because it was not capable enough to handle 2.5 billion rows and bring it into, in Fabric. But what I tried then, let me go to a different workspace. Yep. So this is my workspace. Now, when I created the data flow, it badly failed. So I thought, I'll try something new. I went and tried my very limited skills on PySpark notebooks. Now, what I did in PySpark notebook, there are a few things which I have not written on my own, okay? It's already available online, how to consume New York taxi yellow data using PySpark code, okay? So you can just search it online. It's available on Microsoft website. So I did some things here. I kind of tried to connect to that data. But the additional bits which I'm proud of what I did was, I actually did some transformations on my data because that data is not clean enough. And once I did that, I wrote that New York taxi yellow data as a table within my lakehouse. It kind of took 11 minutes, but it was still performant when it was compared to 4 to 5 hours. Obviously, this is not the most optimized code. I'm not expert in PySpark. I'm sure there are better ways of getting this data here, but this helped me save a lot of time. I actually ended up getting those 2 billion rows in Fabric within few minutes, where my Dataflow Gen2 failed badly. So that's where I felt, oh yes, I need to learn something new where Fabric is going to help me. Because if I kept working on Dataflow Gen2, I would have just not been able to get this data. I would have asked maybe to a data engineer, he would have got it through notebooks, through pipelines, or some other way, but this is where I felt I need to learn something new so that I can do things on my bit. I literally didn't have to rely on a data engineer to get this for me. Obviously, I'll go back to the data engineer to check my code so he or she can write an optimized one. But still, I found a way to get those 2.5 billion rows in Fabric somehow. And when I just got that data, I started working with it. I just created a semantic model again. That's my data model, basically. So that New York taxi data ends up giving you like a very, sorry, I don't know where the model went. Oh, it went quite small, sorry about that. Yeah, so I just tried to split my table somehow, identify dimensions, identify facts, and somehow got the semantic model up. And I used this semantic model to run my report, where it kind of just helped me create a report on top of it, which was not that bad. It was actually fast enough. So for example, if I go to a new report and say if I let it open, okay, that's there. And what I'll do, I'll just bring a simple card visual here for now. And I think, if I remember, I've got a measure there, which should be total trips, and I'll just drag it here. I hope that comes up fast, but it is faster to what I have seen in Power BI Desktop. So there should be a number somewhere around 2 billion, yeah. So I tried the same scenario in Power BI Desktop, and it took, actually Power BI Desktop crashed because it can't handle 2 billion rows in import mode. So when I was working with this, I was like, wow, this is still fast. I can go ahead, optimize my data model, optimize few more things. I'm sure it will be faster enough. So this was actually something I found out. I was like, wow, if I learn something new, I can actually do various changes, actually be more productive. Just spend time on the right thing rather than waiting for my data flow or something else to finish so that this data gets loaded. So this was one of the use cases I really want to show because I just felt like here Fabric is really helping me as a Power BI developer. So we'll just go back to the slide. And let me just quickly check one more thing. Sorry about that. Yeah. So let's go back to the slides. And here what I have. Yeah, and if any of you guys want to read about Direct Lake, definitely go to Microsoft documentation, read about Direct Lake mode, why it is faster. And there is a blog, actually I should have put that blog in there, or maybe you guys can search. There's a very good blog from Chris Webb on Direct Lake mode. And that's the blog, it amazingly explains how Direct Lake mode is better than anything else. So definitely go and check that blog from Chris Webb. And then, I think we have seen the demos, acquiring new skills. Hopefully, this small use case might convince some of the Power BI developers in the room, like why they really need to upskill themselves with Fabric. It's not about that you lose your Power BI skills. No, your Power BI skills will still be there, but it will just make you ready to handle few things on your own where you really don't have to go to a data engineering person to do bits for you. So that's where I feel like Fabric can really help us as Power BI developers. And yeah, few resources I really wanted to point out. So if you want to start your journey with Microsoft Fabric Learn Paths are the first place you should go. Trust me, they're really good. They're really written well. It gives you a very good foundation on what Fabric is and how it can be helped. The next thing, obviously, everyone knows about DP600 certification. That's been out for some time. And now it is generally available, not in beta mode anywhere. So if you think you are already ready and you want to validate your skills within Microsoft Fabric, you can go and take this certification. And there is another thing which I don't have on the slide. There is a Cloud Skills AI Challenge going on, which gives you a free DP600 certification voucher. So enroll for that, and before 19th April, if you finish all those parts, you'll get a free voucher. And if you want more details, there are few people sitting in the community lounge area to tell you more details about it. So definitely go ahead and check that. And yeah, Career Hub page, I'm not sure if anyone has seen it. Career Hub page is again an amazing place which directs you to the right resources to upskill yourself in Fabric. There are new practice tests that became available for DP600 certification mid of February, which are pretty good. I took them myself and they're really good. So if you want to test your knowledge again, prepare yourself for DP600, go and check that out. And yeah, there are a few MVPs in the community who have been writing blogs around Fabric, so definitely go and check this link where few of the very good blogs are listed. And I think that's it. Good luck with your Fabric journey, and hopefully I was able to convince few Power BI developers in this room to upskill themselves with Microsoft Fabric. And yeah, if you have got any questions, thank you so much, first of all, for coming to the session. And if you have got any questions, I'm here to answer.